Today I want to share with you how I quilt a quilt. Now, everybody quilts different, so I'm just sharing with you how I do it. I've been quilting for 20 years, and probably about the first 5 to 8 years I quilted a little bit different than I do now. So, and I've quilted a lot of quilts for customers, show quilts, edge-to-edge quilts over the years, and I've learned so much myself on how to make different things work. So what works for me may not work for you or somebody else. So I'm just sharing, because I do get this question a lot, people asking me all the time, how do you quilt your quilts? So here I am. I'm going to share that with you. So first of all, I load the quilt onto the machine. And once I get it loaded, I will usually stabilize it. And what I mean by that is I want to stitch the 3 layers together in sections of the quilt from top to bottom. So I start from the top and I basically stitch in the ditch. And doing that, way back when I started, stitching in the ditch takes practice if you're new. And so now, stitching in the ditch is, it's so easy for me now because I've done it for 20 years. So I start from the top, stitch in the ditch, and what I mean by that is this quilt here, I stitch in all the ditches, all of them. Let me just back up. Not all of them. Some of them I will not stitch in, like these right here. I don't know, you probably can't see it, but these are little strips, and I don't stitch in that because I can catch that later when I start putting in the designs. Plus, I don't really know. I have an idea what I want to put in here, but I'm not 100% sure. So stitching in the ditch all the way down, and if it's an applique quilt, which I love to quilt applique quilts. If it's an applique quilt, I'll do the same thing, stitching in the ditch around the applique to set it down. I don't go into different details, like if there's applique on top of applique, I'll just outline stitch when I'm doing an applique quilt. If it's a quilt with a lot of blocks in it, some piecing, just piecing, basically, I stitch in the blocks just to kind of set them down, stabilize them, the 3 layers together. So when I do stabilize the 3 layers together, the quilt doesn't shift on me. It's going to stay where I want it to stay. And that's why I do this. So then once I get down at the bottom, then I stitch off the bottom of the quilt 1/4 of an inch on the edge, just like I do on the sides and at the top. And so then I can cut off that extra batting and then roll this quilt wherever I want to start quilting. But before I get started, I just want to say that I used to lay my quilts out on a table before I even put them on the machine. And I used to figure out, okay, I'm going to put this motif here and this motif here and do this there and that there. And once I got it on my machine, it just did not work for me. Now, I know that there are people out there that sit on a computer creating designs for every quilt. And, that takes time to do that as well as stitching in the ditch. So I don't feel like, because I'm going to stitch in the ditch anyway when I'm quilting. I call myself a ditch stitcher. I'm sorry, but that's what I do because I think it makes the piecing of the quilt or the applique really pop. So I use that time when I'm actually stabilizing the quilt from top to bottom to study the quilt and decide, what I'm going to quilt in each section. Now that may change once I start quilting, but I'm not spending time, somewhere else trying to figure out what I want to do. So to me, it all works out, whether you pre-plan or you don't, it's all the same. You're still putting the same amount of time into the quilt. That's just my opinion. So Let's leave it at that. So once I get it done, and I do want to say that I do float my quilts. This quilt here is floated. It's not pinned at all. And the reason for that is because it's easier for me when I'm floating a quilt to be able to do a little shifting as I'm stabilizing the quilt, stitching in the ditch, to make sure that it's nice and square. And if there's any fullness anywhere in the quilt, I can ease the fabric where it needs to go to either take out some of the fullness, which usually is not the case. You have to ease that fullness into its area. And so by floating my quilt, it allows me to do that a little bit better. Now, and also I always fold up my quilt. I don't let it hang, especially if there's a lot of bias on a quilt. I don't let it hang. I will fold it up into neat little sections like this right here is folded. Just fold it over like this, very delicately, because there's a lot of bias work in this quilt, and I keep it from just hanging. So that's pretty much how I quilt. And now once I get this completely stabilized, I will probably start from the bottom, creating my designs in each section, going all the way back up to the top. And once I reach the top and I've got all my designs in, all my motifs here and there, like I might want to put a big motif in this section right here. And so there are the same sections throughout the quilt. And so I would duplicate those the best that I can, because this is free motion. This is not computerized. And then once I get to the top, and if I feel like I want to put any background fills in, then I work my way all the way back to the bottom, filling in the backgrounds with micro stippling or some kind of micro design, pebbles, or whatever I decide to do. So I just wanted to share that with you, and I hope that you enjoy this video and find what works for you.